Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue our journey if we can. And our next speaker is Bongani Madikiza. He's the Managing Director of Old Mutual Mass Foundation Cluster. Now, I have to say this to you. One of the things I love about attending conferences is trying to decipher people's titles. I'm assuming, Bongani, with a title like that, you don't have one business card, but the title stretches over two. So are you ready to come up? The podium is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, Bongani Madikiza.
Thank you, Jeremy. Good morning. Jeremy, it is 3 businesses. That's why it's a cluster. It's always interesting to speak after your boss. It would not have been great if I spoke before him and I spoke better than him. So it's... Ralph spoke a bit about the values that we stand for, and I'm therefore not going to touch on that today. What I want to talk about is the people that are within the age group of the majority of people who are in this room. So let me first talk about Preeti Yende. A young singer was discovered at the Old Mutual-sponsored National Choir Festival, and now an internationally acclaimed soprano. 30 years ago, when she was born in Piet Retief, she may have never left home. She may have never had this dream. So the first thing that you must understand about life is that you must grab opportunities. They don't come very often. Especially when you feel that you are down, you don't have the power. That's when opportunity knocks. And when you don't see it, you will miss out. At Old Mutual, we have an Old Mutual budget speech competition that aims to get young South Africans involved in conversation about economic growth, about the challenges that our country faces from an economic perspective. There is a young gentleman, Desmond Mawila, one of the 2014 entrants, who grew up in an impoverished township in Nkowankowa in Limpopo. Now, his first-hand experience about hardships have played a major role in his choice to study economics. This young man wants to see a more equitable South Africa, a more equitable future, so that even the most vulnerable have choices to live with dignity. So Desmond devotes much of his spare time to an initiative that helps high school learners prepare for a tertiary education. Now, I have spoken about Preeti, I've spoken about Desmond. The third group of people I want to talk about are Candice Sehoma, Lukhanyo Nako, Pearl Ngwasheng, and Itumeleng Mutupeng. They are aged between 23 and 24, and they got together to establish the Building Blocks Foundation, which aims to restore the dignity of residents through reducing the number of bucket or portable toilet systems in Alexandra. And they seek to replace these with proper flushing toilets. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we take these things for granted, but there are people who still live with those kinds of toilets. So these 4 do everything from getting residents involved, getting municipal approval, fundraising, and management of the new toilets. When you hear politicians talking about changing lives, these are people who change lives. I then ask the question, are you changing lives in what you are doing? Are you creating that aura that allows you to be an impact on other people that you live with, that you work with, that look up to you. I want to talk about the third group of leaders. It's young leaders. Liretodi Leo, her parents valued education and sent him to schools far away from home. His hard work and passion earned him scholarships to Wits and then later to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. He's now a renowned astrophysicist. At present, he's a professor at UJ and a research fellow at various international academic institutions. He still engages, of course, in astrophysical research and volunteers as a mentor for science outreach and literacy for young learners. Now, the question is, would you like to be mentored by Liretodi? But better yet, wouldn't you want to be a mentor like him? That when we talk on podiums like these, we mention your name. We mention you as an example of leaders that are going to take this country forward. The last person I want to talk about is Siyabulela Xuza. I was amazed when I met Siyabulela. I couldn't believe that he's 26. He went from conducting experiments in his mother's kitchen in Umtata to being a darling of NASA. Now, he started his engineering degree in September 2008, but wasn't afraid to take up other challenges such as debating, Mandarin, and world music. These interests, he said, would broaden his mind. In 2012, at the age of 23, he was focusing on transforming homes into power plants that capture the energy of the sun during the day and stores that in fuel cells so that they could be used at night. The NASA-affiliated Lincoln Laboratory was so impressed by Siyabulela that they named a planet after him. Now, how will you be remembered? Are you tapping into the information superhighway to broaden your mind? Or are you only playing on Twitter, you know, Kabonai Busiu, during the wee hours of the night when it's about this club or that club? It's important, ladies and gentlemen, that we also use this information highway to the benefit of all of us as fellow Africans. Now, as one of tomorrow's leaders, your greatest challenge is to stand out. Don't think that you will achieve anything if you don't strive to stand out, to be a beacon and a shining example. It is very easy to blend into the background, to be drowned out by the noise, to be overwhelmed, and to be distracted. Pretty Yende, Desmond Mawila, Candice Homa and her friends, Liretodi Leo, and Siyabulela Xuza have all been uncompromising about the standard of contributions they want to make in this beautiful country of ours. Their efforts already have an impact on South Africa and the world. And they will have an impact on the world for generations to come. The question is, will yours? Will you and I have that impact on the world? As I'm about to sit down I want to talk about one story that always fascinated me. When I was a young man, 21, I'm now 24, so one of the fascinating things, I went to interviews as a young man, and I always got asked, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And as a young man, I got annoyed by this question. And I know most of you get that question when you go to interviews. And you get annoyed by this question because you don't think it's relevant. I want to caution you and say, there is nothing as important as having a vision about your life. Because when you don't have a vision about your life, you are going to fall for everything. Everyone is going to dictate how you should live your life instead of living to the dictates of what you want to achieve in your life. If there's anything you take out today, it is that there are examples of people who have achieved, and I've mentioned a few of them. There is no reason to say, I come from this background or that background. You can change your destiny. Thank you very much.
Interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, Bongani and I have known each other for many years. We were at a gym together this morning. We meet at 4:30. And I actually said to him, Bongani, I said, what do you see yourself doing in 10 years' time? And he slapped me, and then he said, well, Jeremy, I think I'm going to end up being the manager and the agent for Pretty Yende, and I'm going to take a 20% commission. So I think it's important. The one, on a serious note, though, you did mention the whole notion of mentorship. And all of us in this room who are now in a position of leadership, I think, have a responsibility, sir, to do that. Let me just say to you that I have on many occasions been asked to do it. And I am a terrible mentor because it's hard work, it's annoying, it's irritating. Often you have a skill set which you think other people will automatically absorb. They don't. And you've really got to put in the hours. You've got to keep to the meetings that you set, because it's only through skilled and dedicated mentorship, such as you suggested, Bongani, that we are actually going to move forward as a country and our economy is going to grow. I urge every single one of you today, if you are not mentoring someone, to absorb it and to try and implement something like that.